The issue is diversity and racism. Listen, I could have picked 15 different things that we ought to focus on. This is not random. This is me deciding that if there's one evil that exists in our region that just has to come to a complete stop, it's this one. Some of it can be under the broad issue of diversity. It can. I mean, people look at our county, right, and draw the lines. This is what everyone does. It's a different county above I-80 than it is down to Route 30, than it is to Route 231, and than it is below that. And we can say we're a diverse place because there's a lot of different kinds of people who live here. But if we don't live together, if we don't engage one another in relationships, if we're afraid of people who are different than us, then that's not diversity. We don't have that many African American families in our church. We have more Hispanic families. We have a lot of white families. Some people could look and say, well, that's kind of the nature of the area you live in. Sure, that's fine. But I will note this, that when I asked people for their feedback to say, hey, what do you love and what do you hate? There were a bunch of white people who loved diversity. There are 2 families in our church who are African American, and this was on the hate side for them. One of our pastors has lived here for a few years. Every now and then I'll stop in, I'll just call it McDonald's in Schererville. He'll sit down, do a little bit of work, and he told me that since he's lived here, twice he's had people come up to him. He's like, what's the target on my back? I don't know. Come up to him and say, hey, would you like to hear a joke? And then they tell him a racist joke. Listen. Sometimes it's much more subtle than that. Sometimes it's fighting against apartments. Sometimes there's all kinds. I'm just saying, if we're going to shine like a light in our region, one of the healthiest, most beautiful, most powerful things we could do is be not just not okay with racism, not just not participating in racism, but being lights and advocates to say it's not right. And I'm going to engage it. I'm going to engage it personally and relationally with people who are different than me. When someone comes and tries to tell me a joke, I'm going to announce to the whole restaurant that person's a racist. I'm kind of joking. Kind of. I'm saying push back. Push back. Don't walk into the other room. Don't laugh it off. Don't let it be. Say it's not right. It's not. If our region could beat this, oh my goodness, then we would be a shining light to Chicagoland, to everywhere around us. If something happened and Suncrest disappeared tomorrow, would Northwest Indiana miss us? If something happened and Suncrest disappeared tomorrow, would Northwest Indiana miss us? And when I ask that question, let me be very clear. I'm not talking about what if our buildings disappeared tomorrow. And I'm not talking about what if our worship services disappeared tomorrow. I'm asking, since you're Suncrest and I'm Suncrest, what if you and I disappeared from the landscape of Northwest Indiana tomorrow? Would Northwest Indiana be worse off because we were gone?